I just want to talk about postmodernity for a few minutes, and then I will, in the next session, I will talk about the mission in the postmodern context. We have to understand pre-modernity and modernity in order to understand postmodernity. So I will explain first what is pre-modernity. Um, Also argue all that in pre-modernity um, are not as irreasonable. But let's start with pre-modernity. What is pre-modernity? I have this metaphor of a telescope, which is often used to explain pre-modernity. The reality is explained in terms of far-off transcendence, which means the world is seen, world is interpreted, or world was explained before uh, modernity, more on the basis of faith or certain worldviews or certain perception, certain narratives people believed in, or people were having some opinion on them, and accordingly the world was explained. And so it was kind of like the people explain the world from the perspective of the God above. And more or less, it was very much two worlds view. So people would say, whenever some disaster happened, it is because some people have sinned, or even when illness happened in the context like in India, people thought it was the goddesses who brought those illness because of her anger or disappointment. So we must sacrifice something in order to pacify her anger, so that this illness like cholera or disasters will stop. This is the way pre-modernity was explained, and people believed in it. But then we go to modernity. I think, therefore, I am. Of course, the Descartes' philosophical thinking was very much behind this. But reality can be observed, dissectable, and explained. The reality as we observe is the real reality. We need reason to explain it. And when people are reasoned, they can progress. And so everything should be tested, everything should be analyzed through the eyes of a reason. Very interestingly, the world out there can be studied. And so the tenets of modernity, I just would like to explain. Any true knowledge about anything, even particular people, can be observed, and it should be certainly possible by reason, through reason. So there are two levels of knowledge. One is objective and subjective. Objective is more open to debate, scientific inquiry, while the subjective is more personal conviction. And the world exists in the cause and effect relationship, which can be analyzed. And so the knowledge is good and the facts are value-free. There is a possibility of progress, and scientific discovery will lead to a better world and happiness. And humanity basically is good, and reason can solve all their problems. Individuals are autonomous in the society and have rights society must honor. These are the triumph and tenets of modernity. And so the modernity also highlighted people towards what they call progress. A challenge to the center of the society from the margins come, of course, and the center of the society was much more what Pope said in those days in the Europe or Western nations. And this reasoning came from margins. And the progress versus via modernity was very much through the Renaissance in 1470 and the Enlightenment since 1700. And the modernity brings a secular world, and it also highlights the power of individual minds of reasoning. And there is a belief in progress. If the society become reason, then there is a possibility of progress. And we can study the nature through experiments. And so the Dewey explained, Dewey is a scholar, he explains a modern man or a modern woman, self-assured, in control of his own destiny, knows what he knows and knows with certainty, needs no authority outside himself, as he is autonomous, a law or authority unto himself, needs no salvation outside himself, liberated from past authorities and superstitions, and follow reason, enjoy the fruit of human progress. And so there is a faith in the progress. The spirit of modernity is the spirit of progress. Progress is what the Columbus story is all about. The progress ideal functions as an article of faith, the unifying commitment or civic religion of Western civilization. So if you are reasonable, you become autonomous. If you're autonomous, the society full of autonomous people with reason, progress. And that is the basic belief in the formation of Western civilization. It tells a story similar to myths. Myths that history begins with the Egypt and Greece, not with China or Africa or India. So the myth of progress and the Tower of Babel, I just compare the myth of progress and the Tower of Babel. There is a grand dream or vision or cultural aspiration symbolized by Columbus' vision, dreams of cities, buildings, and towers. But I compare this with Genesis chapter 11, 1-9, building a tower, a city of Babel, reaching to the heavens. And Western dreams of progress, towering civilization, a social, cultural accomplishment of immense and achievement. Very interesting indeed. I also like to show you some pictures of Babel. And also I'd like to show you the text from Genesis chapter 11. Let us make a name for ourselves, which is very interesting. But the Lord came down to see the city, and the Lord scattered them from there all over all the earth. And the floors in the Babel Tower is ground floor of modernity was science. The first floor is enlightenment, the scientific rationality. The second floor is technology. And the third floor is economic growth. And the Western culture is the final floor. So the modernity is in trouble. When finished, our streets should be platinum, never mind gold. Too good to be true. We never thought of Hiroshima, Nagasaki. But sadly, the progress was promised. The foundation of the Babel Tower is founded on human autonomy that brings the human away from the creator. And auto means self, nomos is law, self-determining freedom on the basis of reason. So the idols of modernity, is idea of progress was based on idolatrous faith, on science, technology, and economic growth above anything. Science as an authoritative knowledge, technism as power, control over the creation. Standard of living, economic growth raises the standard of life, root to power, personal happiness, and social harmony. I'll stop here, come back to the next step, continue with the modernity and postmodernity in the next slide.